Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry, and I'm back at a customer's house. I've been cleaning now for more than 10 years, and this carpet is it's really put through the ringer. I clean it once a year, but as long as I've been cleaning for them, they've always had a Shelty dog. In fact, we're on our second Shelty here. Their regional guy, he passed away a couple of years back now, and so we've got another young guy. And this carpet is well used, but and as I say, I've been cleaning it for years. Actually, about I think about 5 years ago, actually, I cleaned this with my the Orbot once, and so I was really curious to see, because I'd already been cleaning it for a few years, and I really wanted to see how it would do on a carpet that I'd been previously cleaning with my Rotary, to see if the orbital motion and if it would clean it better. And it absolutely did not. In fact, I'm convinced that it didn't clean it as well. And this is a pretty plush carpet, actually. You can see there's quite a bit of a yarn to this one. And it kind of solidified at that time my thinking that the issue is that the longer the yarn is, the more that what will happen is that the orbital motion, as it moves, as the pad moves on the carpet back and forth, it'll tend to, because the yarn is so long, it will move the yarn back and forth, as opposed to the yarn being held still, like with this, and the agitation just kind of cleaning, scrubbing the fiber. I think it works better as a continual motion in one direction, and with the Rotary. So that was one of the conclusions that I had reached regarding the difference between how well the orbital works as opposed to the Rotary. So I've been, as I said, I've been cleaning this carpet for quite a number of years prior to that. And so it was an interesting experiment, and it was one of the number of times that I was able to take a carpet that I'd been cleaning repeatedly, over years with the Rotary, and then to put the OP on it, and just to see. I really wanted to understand what the advantages and disadvantages were of either system. In the end, it was simply, to me, confirming what I had suspected, was that the Rotary simply works better the longer the carpet pile is. But that's only my observation over a few decades. What do I know? Anyway, I know that this is controversial perspective, but as I mentioned as many times, I do have OP machines, and they got their place. But for me, all day long, I'm going to prefer to use the Rotary for residential, at least. And it certainly will do fine for commercial as well. It's just the wheels down OPs are, at least physically, I think a little bit easier to deal with on, using them for hours on end on a commercial job. I think that's where they really have their greatest strength. But you can still do it with a Rotary too. But anyway, now to this carpet, she did say she vacuumed it, but I vacuumed it again. I used my Kirby. I used the Kirby because it is such a plush, thick carpet that I realized that the Kirby would move easier on this particular carpet, so that's why I chose to use the Kirby, and that's why I carry a Kirby, is primarily to deal with this type of carpet. I mean, the Hoover would have worked as well, but it's a little more effort to maneuver it and push it on the thicker carpet, so that's why I carry the Kirby. But anyway, and I'm cleaning with, right now I'm using my brush. I don't use my brush that much, but in certain cases I think there's a better choice. So this being such a plush carpet, I wanted to use the brush to give the agitation maximum penetration into this longer pile. And I also have boosted this with Oxyall. I'm going to try and get as much a brightening effect on this carpet. It's a pretty light carpet actually, so I figured that was going to be a benefit. And I can feel it. I got some of it on my fingers here, and I can feel it tingling. You can see the peroxide is whitening my skin a little bit there. I did pre-treat. I did put some suspend in a couple of spots, and then I actually switched over to Grout Blast. I figured that I would go with the more aggressive pre-treat on some of these areas, and right here there was a chair that would sit here, and the doggy has a tendency, he likes to lay behind furniture up against the wall, so we've got a couple of places where we've got staining right up against the edge. He likes to kind of get into those little corners and stuff. This house is actually a very old house. I think it's nearly 100 years old. And it's in a much older area of Kelowna, of course, right down quite near the lake. The lake is about a block away from here, and quite near the downtown core. Really nice area, mostly older houses, and there's a nice feel in this area. High-end area, you know, expensive houses here because you're near the lake. Kind of interesting that 30 or more years ago, 50 years ago, these houses along the lake were, you know, kind of considered just the little cottage, and they didn't really much have value. And now the property alone is probably $1 million for a lot. Funny how things change. I remember a few times I've had very nasty stains to deal with in this carpet. I remember a few over behind this table 2 or 3 times ago. Oops, as far as I go. And I think that the previous doggy, if I remember correctly, was chewing on bones back there or something, and made quite a few bad greasy spots. But I've always got them out. The carpet always comes up well, cleans up nicely, even though there's often bad stains here that I have to deal with. The doggy is the problem. Shelty's shed And yeah, that's what happens when you have doggies. It's hard to keep your house looking perfect, but it's better to have a dog. I'm sure we'll always be. And I'm gonna have to move that outlet, I think, a little bit. Didn't quite make it all the way over to the corner there. Get an odd place for an outlet. We'll go over this area a little bit extra, off of the kitchen. So the Oxyall, of course, has peroxide in it, a little heavier dose of peroxide, so it'll help to brighten up this kind of dingy-looking carpet. So let's go over to the corner here where we didn't quite reach. We'll head back this way. So we've got probably 150,000 bristles or so that are combing through the carpet. This is a softer brush. I don't actually have a stiff bristle brush. I think that I would never have a reason to use one, because the only time you might want to go with a stiffer brush is if you're doing like a commercial carpet, and the fiber pad will work better, much more contact area. But the soft brush works great for these plush yarn carpets. So that's when I generally would choose to use it. But I don't use it that much. But I tend to use it on when I'm doing wool area rugs. I will often use my brush as well. Okay, I'm gonna move these chairs over and then we'll go across that area one more time. It looks like it's cleaning up really well, as usual. This is the outside here. There's a park right over here, and just these properties are actually on the lake. So, and oh look, there's a nice looking van over there. Actually, hey, interesting. I had a repair guy over at my house yesterday. Had a little issue with our washing machine, and they are the company he works for. They use the Nissan, the van that I have, and he was talking to me about it, and asked me how I like it, and I do like it fine. It's a great vehicle, and he says they have 7 for their business, and he says best van he's ever had, best work van he's ever had, and the only thing they've done is change brakes on 1 or 2 of them, which would be normal, and other than that, no issues at all. And of course they're not being made anymore. And he told me that the guy at the dealership told him that the reason that Nissan abandoned these vans is because they weren't able to make enough money on them, because they were not seeing them come back to the dealership to have any or hardly anything repaired. That's where they really make the money on these vehicles. So that sounded encouraging. You just don't know what you're getting when you buy these new vehicles, really, in the end. But I did look up all the reviews I could find on these vans. There's the Dodge van, the Mini, I don't remember what they call that one, ProMaster or whatever, and then the Ford Transit and the Nissan. And I was really not thinking I would get the Nissan. I kind of didn't like the little wheels on it. But in the end, I just decided on the basis of, really it was more which one has the best reviews. And the Nissan definitely had the best reviews. Didn't have any any significantly bad reviews at all, really. But I was wary of the CV transmission. But I do watch a guy on YouTube all the time, the Car Wizard. Seems to be a really knowledgeable guy, and he was talking about the CV transmissions. And he says the secret to making them last well over 100,000 miles is do the service on them more often than the dealer recommends. And if you do that, he says you'll easily get 100,000 miles out of your transmission. In these days, if you get 100,000 miles out of any transmission, you've done well. So I've now had my van just over 2 years, and I just actually had the transmission complete service for the second time now, just a couple weeks ago, actually. So that's my plan, or was my plan, that I would, every year, I would take it in and I would have the transmission complete service. Pull the pan off, pull the filter out, change the oil, do the whole 9 yards every year. You know, it costs a few $100, but well, it's not a big deal because it's a write-off anyway. But maintenance is critical for everything, because the worst thing that can happen is you get yourself scheduled for a few days ahead or whatever, and then your vehicle breaks down or your equipment breaks down or whatever, and you can literally lose thousands of dollars in a day. So yeah, that's what I do. I take care of my equipment, and I take care of my vehicles. My Uplander, which I had for many years, I bought it brand new. Whenever I had it taken in anywhere for whatever, I'd say, if you find something that needs to be fixed, fix it. And I only had it towed once. I think it was only once when the tranny went, because it went at about 170,000 miles. It went. And I think that was the first time I ever had to have it towed. Everything else that happened, that I dealt with on the Uplander, it was all planned and expected, pretty much. No surprises. I hate surprises. Especially when you like I say, you think you're going to go out and you got work scheduled, and then you discover that your van doesn't start. That's a terrible thing. I had that happen before, I think, with my previous van, once or twice. My previous van was Astro van, and it was already about 10 years old when I bought it. But it was a good van. And I had previous to that another one. I had an 87, and then a 97, and then 2008 Uplander, and the 2021 Nissan. So yeah, that's what I've owned. Mind you, the very first vehicle was my 84 Renault hatchback. Which I paid $200 for. But anyway, we're motoring along pretty good here. Looks like the marks are all coming out, I think. course, the peroxide will be continuing to brighten for a little bit yet. And I'll, of course, run the vacuum over the carpet to groom it before I'm done. And somebody had asked me, actually, I posted a video I put up the other day, do I use the pad dry? And the answer to that is, usually I will. When I'm doing a two-step, whether I use the brush and then a pad, or the fiber pad and then the Ironman, when I put the Ironman pad down, it's dry. The intention is to draw up the excess moisture in the soil that's been emulsified into the pad, and it needs to be dry to do that. You don't wet the pad, you know, that kind of defeats the purpose of what you're doing. You want it to be dry so that you can draw the soil, the liquefied soil and moisture into the pad. If your pad was soaking wet, well, it's not going to do that. Yeah. Well, it's looking a lot better. I can see that it's brightened up considerably. This carpet always cleans up pretty darn well, even though it does look pretty grubby. They really actually should be doing it more often than they are. With the dog on it, it's just going once a year is not really enough. You know, once a year, if you're really taking care of everything, is the general rule of thumb. But if you've got a dog going in and out the door and getting all dirty, and that's transferring onto the carpet, you know, from his coat and all that kind of stuff, you know, once cleaning the carpet once a year is not very realistic. But I'd rather do it once a year than not at all. We're looking good. Now, I mentioned something the other day in a video, and I'm going to give you guys another heads up. I would recommend, if you're watching things that are going on in the world and you know where we're at, in a prophetic type situation, I would recommend you go and look up on YouTube, look up the channel God a Minute, and see what he's just recently posted regarding well, some amazing things that are being seen in the signs in the heavens. It's really quite astonishing. I recommend you go check it out. We're going to head back out this way. Yeah, I actually used the Orbitech the other day on a job. I really immediately missed the Rotary. It's just so smooth and easy to maneuver. There's just no effort to maneuvering the Rotary. Even the Orbitech, even though it's a lot much easier to maneuver than the Challenger, which I also have, it's just not the Rotary. And as we get older, we tend to, well, hopefully we learn that it's better to work smarter and not harder. Okay. go over this area. I remember a couple times when I've done this, there's been a real black line right along the wall here. I guess the dog, one of the previous doggy, really liked to lay there, but it's really looking pretty good now. I mean, obviously I got it out before and it hasn't reappeared, so it's looking good. Nice day out there today. I like September. It's my favorite month. And hopefully it's going to really be my favorite month for what I hope to be a very good, incredibly good reason in the next few days or so. We shall see. Anyway, let's do a look. Take a look. Not too bad. Actually, not bad. Do that B side over here. Yeah, there was a real dark swath right here. No, I can't even see it. So it's definitely working. Okay, we'll head over this way, and then we'll mosey on over to the 2 bedrooms I have to do, but I won't record that. There was an obvious stain there, which seems to be completely gone. That's good. Okay, I guess that's it for now. I'll let you go. So thanks for watching and have a good day.